Welcome to Driving.ca. My name is Jay Canna and I'm here with a 2023 Jeep Compass. In this video, we're going to cover two key things. First, what's new for 2023 with the Jeep Compass? And two, does it have enough to fill the void now that the Jeep Cherokee has officially been discontinued? New for 2023 is the engine. Gone is the old 2.4 cylinder inline 4, which was pretty underpowered at 180 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. Thankfully, it's been replaced with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, putting out, according to Jeep, a class-leading 200 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque. The old 2.4-cylinder engine ran off a 9-speed automatic transmission, and what we have here with a 2-liter turbo 4 is an 8-speed. So you lose one gear, and I think it was the right move for Jeep. The old engine, it was labored, and it just felt like it struggled all the time, whether you're going low speeds, mid speeds, or high speeds. But what we have here with the 2-liter turbo 4 is a much more refined driving experience, and you still have that low-end power. It's a lot more than it was in the outgoing model, especially since we have a nearly 50 pound-feet of torque boost, and it performs really well between gears 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. It's a lot quicker of a response, and you feel a little more engaged with the vehicle. And then you go up to higher speeds, and as it runs through gears 6, 7, 8, 9, even 7, 8, 9, as you're getting on the highway and staying at highway speeds, it really smooths things out. You don't have any of that jerky feeling like you did with the outgoing model. And I think it was a smart move for Jeep to completely wipe out that 2.4 and go with a 2-liter engine. Now, this engine is standard across the board. There are no options for anything larger, no options for anything smaller, and the power stays the same regardless of which of the 7 trims that you pick. There is a little bit of a hesitation when you first step down, maybe a half second, maybe 3/4 of a second, but once it gets going, it really gets going. And I know it's a smaller vehicle, and you're not in this class of vehicle for high performance or a thrilling drive experience, but what I can say is that the 23 Jeep Compass with this new 2-liter turbo 4 engine performs very, very well. Right now I'm at 30 kilometers an hour, and I'm going to step down. There's that slight hesitation, and there I am up to 70. So that middle power band responds really well, and you really feel it. Again, consider the class of vehicle you're in, and that half second of hesitation really shouldn't make a difference to anybody. I'm a little more critical. Would it stop me from considering this if I was looking? Not at all. It's just how the engine is specifically made. But know that after a week of driving, I have gotten up to speed without any issue. I've been able to get out of potential collision situations without any issue. There's plenty of passing power here. So in that regard, the little slight delay once you step down doesn't really make that much of a difference, but don't be surprised when you feel it. Also new for 2023 is Jeep's 4x4 system now comes standard. In 2022, you did have the option to pick an entry-level trim, and that came with 2-wheel drive, and every other trim had the 4x4 system. So I think it's a good move here, and I can't imagine anybody really considering going for a 2-wheel drive system, especially in any kind of a Jeep product. On the fuel consumption side, every Jeep Compass for 2023 gets a 51-liter fuel tank. The combined figures for this year are 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Compare that with the 2022 figures, which was 9.5, and it's a pretty significant savings, and it's a very, very crowded class of vehicles here. So going with a lower displacement, higher power, and managing to save fuel is an absolute win. And yes, it's not quite a full liter, but with the fuel figures being scrutinized a lot more as far as purchase decisions go, Jeep's done the right thing by, again, being able to give us more power and using less fuel in the process. If you're worried about the audio side of things, you can just crank up the tunes. Now for $24.95, this is the package I would absolutely get. It's the Sun and Sound package, and it gives you a premium Alpine audio system, and I've heard these before, they sound terrific, so I would absolutely get that. And it comes with a panoramic sunroof, and as you can see from the video, it's pretty dark in here. It's a black interior, and without that sunroof, it feels pretty closed in, and I feel that the $24.95 added to the option sheet is an absolute must if you have any kind of a feeling of being closed in. You don't like smaller spaces, especially in your vehicle. As far as twists and turns go, the Compass handles it pretty well for being a taller vehicle. It's surprisingly agile, and again, nothing new from last year to this year as far as shape and dimensions go, but having that extra power underneath your right foot really gets you going, and their legendary 4x4 system also makes a world of difference as opposed to a two-wheel drive system. So for city dwellers, you won't really have to use it all that much, and the vehicle will do exactly what you expect it to. If you're doing cottage driveways, a little bit of mild off-roading, gravel roads, unpaved roads, the Compass performs extremely well. And it catches and it grips. Very little swinging out if you're making turns on unpaved roads. And as far as visibility goes, pretty good here. The rear window is a fair size, lots of forward visibility, and especially out the sides as well. Standard safety also sees a bump this year, and we get, with every 2023 Jeep Compass, forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, and the drowsy driver alert, which I think it's a pretty smart move. I wish they had a longer list of standard safety systems. You do have to get a package if you want the blind spot monitoring, but until we get there, Jeep's slowly but surely making progress. With the Belvedere, Illinois plant officially shutting down Jeep production as of February 2022, and official word from Jeep Canada saying there will not be a 2024 Jeep Cherokee, the Compass has some pretty big shoes to fill. It's well appointed, it looks really good, it feels good. The big refresh here was in 2022. You get a beautiful large infotainment screen. There's an option for a digital dash up front here on the 2023 Compass, and it has a premium upscale feel. Now, it's not a luxury vehicle by any means, but for a vehicle in this class at this price point, I feel the Compass punches a little above its weight class. There's not a lot of hard touch points here. Yeah, there's a little bit of piano black, and it doesn't really fit in with the rest of it, but for the other 90% of the interior materials, look and feel, the Jeep Compass really does quite well. Can the Compass replace the Cherokee? Absolutely. They're very similar in size, and I feel a lot of people went towards the Cherokee while it was around. They just wanted something a little bigger. So the way the current Jeep lineup sits now from smaller to large is the Renegade on the smaller side. The Compass sits right in the middle and doing double duty by covering its own ground as well as the Cherokees. And then above that, we have the Grand Cherokee. And if you're in the market for this type of vehicle, a decent amount of cargo space, both seats up and seats down, is on your A list. Yes, the Cherokee did have that big V6 engine, but before they announced the discontinuation, they knocked out the V6 and they cut it down to only 2 trims for 2023. So yes, you can get a Cherokee this year if you really want to, but know that there will not be a 2024. The Compass does well on creature comforts, the styling on the inside, the drive feel itself. Again, you can't really include that V6 in the conversation, but the 200 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque is plenty for urban areas, and it'll get you through some of the rural areas as well. Now, my week has consisted of about 70% on-road paved roads and 30% not quite off-road, but some dirt roads and some gravel roads. So there's definitely a utilitarian side to all Jeeps, really, and more specifically the Jeep Compass, which you don't really expect to have because you want something off-road, you're going for a Wrangler. But if you want something that has road manners, is good for everyday driving, won't really hurt you at the gas pumps, then the Compass really scores well. For 2023, in every trim except for the Trailhawk, you get 3 drive modes. You have your automatic one, and you have your snow and your sand and mud. The difference with the Trailhawk is you get a rock mode, and a little puzzling that there's no eco here, and I'm happy there's no sport. Can't really see anyone using sport for much of anything. For my 30% of driving that was not paved, the snow/mud drive mode performed extremely well, and typical Jeep as far as capability, the 4x4 system works pretty much exactly as you'd expect, and there's a reason it's one of the most popular systems out there. With the Compass being able to do double duty, covering for itself as well as for the now defunct Cherokee, we have 3 key competitors. First one being the Subaru Crosstrek, and they're known for their legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive, around the same size, but where the Compass wins over the Crosstrek is drive feel and transmission. The Crosstrek engine it's just not good, and it's slow and it's sluggish and it's a CVT, and every single movement forward feels like a struggle for it. So I feel the Compass will win on that side hands down. Pricing wise, the Crosstrek comes in at under 40, so we have a little bit of a competitive advantage pricing wise for the Crosstrek, whereas the Jeep Compass Altitude, this specific trim I'm in, comes in the mid-40s. Next up is the RAV4 Trail, their off-road variant of the very popular RAV4. Very similar in about $1,000 of a variance between the RAV4 Trail and the Compass. I'm going to call that one a tie. The RAV4 Trail does a lot of things extremely well, but this new engine in the Compass, as far as the 2-liter turbo 4 with all that extra torque, really makes a big difference. So it's hard to split it, but I feel a lot of people will cross-shop the RAV4 Trail with this. And the last competitor to the 2023 Jeep Compass is the 2023 Ford Bronco Sport Outer Banks. Again, just like the RAV4 Trail, but $1,000 in range on the pricing side, so it falls in very competitively. I haven't driven a 23 model yet, but it's the same as a 22, which I've driven extensively, and I'm going to call that one a tie as well. The Bronco Sport does a lot of things extremely well, specifically their 4x4 system, and their infotainment does pretty well. Now the Uconnect 5 is one of the best ones in the industry, so I'll give the nod there to the Compass. And overall, if I had to pick between the two, I don't know if I could. They both do things extremely well. Outside of those three key competitors, the other competitors include the Honda CR-V, the Mazda CX-5, kind of the CX-50 a little bit, and get the Ford Escape in there as well, Nissan Rogue, and Subaru Forester. It's a crowded class, and back to my initial question, can the Compass replace the Cherokee? I think it can, and I think it will. I think people in this segment will not discount Jeep at all, because the Compass still has a lot going for it. It's not the same as a Cherokee, and it's not going to replace it exactly machine for machine, but there's enough similarities here between the Compass and the Cherokee, well, the now defunct Cherokee, that people will look at the Compass and go, okay, this still can be a competitor in the, again, very crowded market of the compact crossovers. It's got standard 4x4, you can dress it up a lot of different ways. As far as options and features go, that list is long. There's an okay amount of standard safety, not best in class, but good enough to get by. But the big thing here that I think what the Compass has going for it as far as its strongest suit is the best in class power. Again, 200 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, a much better 8-speed automatic transmission as opposed to whatever they had outgoing. I don't even want to say it. So with that, let's quickly run through different trims. 7 in total, and we start at the Sport, end up at the Trackhawk Elite. Difference goes from $38,685 all the way up to $49,185. So about $11,000, and there's a trim for everybody. And the good thing about Jeep is there's so many packages and options you can get. You can go for a lower trim, maybe a little lower than the Altitude, like the Sport or the North, dress it up real nice the way you want it, and you have something very competitive within this segment of a vehicle. Before I wrap up, I will say I think the Cherokee brand will come back, but as an EV model only. The only puzzling thing here is how fast can Jeep actually work to meet their own self-mandate of having every vehicle in their lineup having some kind of electrification by 2025. Yes, this is a 2023, but 2 years in the auto industry as far as development and advancement goes is a very short amount of time. So Jeep's got 2 years to figure out what they're going to put into the Compass to give it an electrified variant, whether it's a plug-in hybrid or it's a conventional hybrid. I hope they do it, because the Compass is a really good vehicle that has a lot to offer. And with the world going towards electrification, Jeep doesn't really have a choice but to. That's going to wrap it up for the 2023 Jeep Compass. If you've got any questions on the vehicle, let us know in the comments. We're always happy to engage in respectful conversation. For more news, reviews, and information you can use on the subcompact and compact crossover vehicle, visit our website, which is Driving.ca, and connect with us on social media. For Driving.ca, I'm Jay Canna.